Welcome to the Greg Bennett Show. I'm your host, Greg Bennett, and today I have a delightful conversation with longtime friend and just remarkable athlete, Javier Gomez. In this episode, Javier discusses who he thinks is the greatest triathlete of all time and what athletes have forced him to become better. Javier shares his thoughts on the fast, bouncy shoes that are now so popular and the improvements in bike technology. He describes some of his epic training days and shares his big meltdown. The episode concludes with some tips on how to optimize your life and some fun quick-fire questions. This was just simply a really great conversation with an extraordinary man. But before we go on, some housekeeping. Firstly, thank you for your feedback and sharing the show. If you are enjoying the show, you really would be doing me a huge favor by sharing the show on your social platforms, and/or you can support the show's partners, Athletic Greens, Hyperice, and Form Swim Goggles. You really can't go wrong with any of them. They're great companies and just fantastic products. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did, and remember, success comes to those who endure just one moment longer. Do you want to move better? Do you want to reach your full potential? If yes, then you should really consider Hyperice recovery tools. Personally, I use the Hypervolt and the vibrating roller daily. So simple, quick, and easy to look after my body at home. Hyperice is currently running a few sales on both the Normatec line and the Hypervolt with Bluetooth. It's a great time for anyone to take advantage of the discount. Plus, get 10% off all Hyperice products using the exclusive Greg Bennett Show code Greg21 at checkout. Go to hyperice.com, that's hyperice.com, hyperice.com, and use code Greg21 at checkout. Are you someone who enjoys swimming in the open water? Personally, I love it far more than the pool. The thing though that I miss in the open water swimming is the ability to get any feedback. But now with the Form Smart Swim Goggles, I have that covered. Whether I'm in the pool or open water, I can get my feedback. With Form Swim Goggles, you can see all your key metrics while you're swimming: your distance, pace, stroke rate, and heart rate. This swim data is displayed on the goggle lens, and you can customize the display to see the metrics you want to see. The goggles track it all and are automated. You start them at the beginning of your swim, and you don't have to press any buttons in between. They automatically track everything. The goggles connect to the Form Swim app on your smartphone, and there you can review all the details of your swims. The battery life is incredible, with a 1-hour charge giving you 16 hours of swimming time. So go to formswim.com/Greg, that's formswim.com/Greg, and get $15 off. Or you can use code Greg15 at checkout. I'm using Athletic Greens every day. Great taste, so quick and just ready to go. I've discussed Athletic Greens with several of the guests who are using it daily as well: Melinda Carfree, Timothy O'Donnell, Tim Don, and Sebastian Kinley. You see, Athletic Greens is more than just a multivitamin and mineral. It's a delicious blend of 75 superfoods, vitamins, minerals, probiotics, greens blend, and more to support your gut health, energy, immunity, and stress. My focus is overall health, longevity, feeling good, and feeling like I'm optimizing each day. And Athletic Greens is there for me to do just that. I've also been doubling down on Athletic Greens vitamin D. A huge portion of the population are vitamin D deficient, including myself. And right now, Athletic Greens will give you a year's supply of vitamin D for free and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Please do yourself a favor and sign up. It also makes a great gift for a family member or friend. So sign up now and get a free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase by visiting athleticgreens.com/Greg. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Greg. All right, today I have a very special return guest. He was on the show at the start of January back in 2020 in episode 4 of the show. If you haven't listened to it, be sure to go check it out. He's a man who's won more triathlons than anyone else in the history of the sport, a career that has spanned almost 2 decades with 9 world titles over various distances and formats, including 5 ITU World Championship titles, 2 Ironman 70.3 world titles, an ITU long course world title, an Xterra Off-road world title, and add to that a silver medal at the Olympics. My goodness, I'm out of breath just going through it. But he's more than just a champion athlete. He's one of the best men I know, and we've lived and shared some epic training sessions together. And battled on the race course numerous times, and I'm just honored to call him a friend. So it's an absolute privilege to have him back on the show. So welcome, and thanks for joining me on the Greg Bennett Show, Mr. Javier Gomez. How are you, mate?
Hey Greg, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for the introduction and having me again on the show. The first time was your fourth episode, and I didn't really know what it was about, and but I've listened to I'm pretty sure all of them after that during my, especially on the trainer or traveling or. So it's great to be back, and yeah, I'm a bit overwhelmed about what you just read about my achievements. It's been a long career.
Is it amazing though when you get that, when you hear it read back to you? Do you sometimes just have to pinch yourself? I mean, it is remarkable.
It actually is, because to be honest, I don't think much about that. I think the athletes, we tend to always be in the future. We always look to the next race. And for my whole career, I won many races. And after winning a race, the next day I was thinking of the next one, not on what I've just achieved. And it's something that I kind of regret a little bit, because I should have enjoyed it a bit more. But that's the way we think, always in the future. So when someone tells you everything you've done, not that I didn't know it or that I forgotten it, but it's quite impressive, and yeah, of course, I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, well, you should be, mate. And I was at the back end of you on quite a few of those world titles, and really felt just your prowess. And I've said on the show numerous times, I feel like there was a real changing of the guard in that kind of, what was it, 07, 08, 06, 7, 8, 9, with you and Alistair, and then Jonathan Brownlee a little bit later, that you kind of pushed the rest of us out. It really was an extraordinary time where the sport elevated beyond where I ever thought it could possibly go, with you guys and what you did. And I got to see you work firsthand, all those years we spent in Noosa training, and I was like, wow, okay, this is the future. And you haven't let me down, mate. It's just been very consistent, methodical, and just you keep turning up and delivering the goods. But now let's talk to the present right now. Yeah. Where are you? And Leeds was just last weekend. Tell us a little bit about all of that.
Leeds was last weekend. I was really excited about racing ITU again, and unfortunately the race didn't go as planned. I didn't have a great swim, but I was there. We were catching up, and we were joining the first group, so I thought I was safe, and I knew I was in a good running shape. But unfortunately, another athlete crashed right in front of me. And I couldn't avoid it, and I fell off the bike. Luckily, no major injury, just a road rash, and that's it. But it's always uncomfortable and very frustrating, more frustration than pain. So I couldn't finish the race, and as you know, this year we don't have lots of racing chances. There are not many races out there, so I decided to do a French Grand Prix this weekend, which I've been doing racing in France since probably 2005, and they are always great races, really fast, with some of the best athletes in the world. So I'll be doing that, and hopefully I'll have a good one, and then just focus on the preparation for the final push for Tokyo.
Mate, was there, because for listeners that don't know, before 2016 Rio Olympic Games, you were a hot favorite for medal, potentially gold. You had some great battles with both Alistair and Jonathan Brownlee leading up to 2016. You broke your arm about 6 weeks out from that one. Was it about that? And did you have flashbacks in Leeds, like, oh no, it's happened again?
Not really. It was a very different situation, I guess. In 2016, I was on a training session. It was a stupid crash by myself, going probably 15K an hour uphill. And I was so unlucky that, I fell off the wrong way, and I broke my elbow. No, but this was, in the heat of the moment, and when you're racing, I knew it wasn't bad when I hit the ground. It was more like, oh, damn it, I'm losing the group, and I just wanted to get back on the bike. But unfortunately, the shifting lever was broken, so I couldn't. And I decided to take care of the wounds and try to to recover. But yeah, I was very frustrated. But luckily, I didn't break anything. I'm training normally at the moment, so let's hope I can make it to the start line first, and then have a good race in Tokyo. Yeah.
And has the swim level jumped that much that I'm talking to Javier Gomez, who I always thought was the greatest swimmer I kind of went up against, that you can have bad swims now. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, well, first, I'm not used to have a bad number in a race, and I've always struggled my whole career with a bad position in the pontoon. I don't like the fight. But I always was number 2, number 3, number 1, and I would be on side of the pontoon, do my thing, and get to the first buoy within the top 10. I think it's not really faster, but the level has increased, and there's a lot of people able to swim quite fast. Even though I was thinking, I thought I was having a terrible swim in Leeds, and I couldn't see anything. I was in the middle of the fight. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. I thought I was really far back, and I came out of the water. I was 12 seconds behind the leader, So we were all just basically together, and actually T1 was more important than anything in order to make the first group. So yeah, like the level is really high at the moment. I don't think, because the same guys are pushing the pace. Richard Varga has been there for 10 years at least. Vincent Luis as well. 8 years ago he was swimming as fast probably as he swims nowadays. But the group doesn't stretch that much anymore. So yeah, you need to have a good transition if you want to make that first group, and also depends on the situation, the conditions, and if it's wetsuit, non-wetsuit. But I think it's the same with the final result of the race. There are so many guys who can, in a one-day race, can win the race. That makes it very interesting, very exciting. But it's definitely not like 8 or 9 years ago.
No, well, I mean, just watching this race this past weekend, and there's a lot of young guys that can run very, very fast. But like you mentioned, it was a wetsuit swim. And so, what are your thoughts when you look ahead to Tokyo and you kind of go, okay, well, does Leeds give us a fair representation of what you think Tokyo will look like, or do you think the wetsuit and the conditions in Leeds are so different that it's hard for us to look at that as a form guide?
Well, no doubt the conditions are going to be very different in Tokyo, but it doesn't mean that those guys that did well in Leeds can't perform in Tokyo for sure.
No, for sure.
Because, you have Alex Yee, a young guy, amazing talent, and he proved that he's not just a runner, he's just not just that guy who can run sub 28 minutes for 10K. But at the beginning, I was with him in the group, and I saw him working really hard on the bike, really strong. And thanks to him and some others, we ended up catching the lead group, So he knew what he had to do. He worked hard on the bike. He made it. And then the run was really hard as well. A tough course for tough people. And he proved he was the best one. So definitely he's in great shape at the moment. He's really strong. And I'm sure he can perform very well in Tokyo too. But yeah, the conditions are going to be very different. That extreme heat and the water being very hot and non-wetsuit swim. Of course, you have to be very fit. It's a one day race. Anything can happen. But the fitter and the stronger you are, the more chances you have to win the race. So that's where you have to focus on. Try not to make mistakes and give absolutely everything on the day.
And are you on the team yet? Have the Spanish team been announced? Or?
Yeah, well, it's going to be announced in a few days. So probably when this episode is out, it will be announced. But I'm pretty sure I'll make the team with Mario Mola and Fernando Alarza. We have a pretty good, strong team. At least in the men, the women as well. We have two strong athletes, but it's a good team, and I'm excited to go to my third Olympics. I missed Rio, but it's great to be back. I feel at this stage of my career way less pressure than in Beijing, for example, and in London as well. After finishing fourth in Beijing, I put a lot of pressure myself, and after winning, world titles in that Olympic cycle and been one of the favorites. But I knew that both the Brownlee brothers were going to be on the podium. So, there's only one spot left. And whether it was gold, silver, or bronze, it was really, really hard to make that podium in London. And I'm really proud of my race there, finishing second. So now after, at the end, towards the end of my career, I feel very relaxed, and I don't think I have anything to prove, but I want to enjoy it. And when I say enjoy, it means I want to, work really hard and get as fit as possible, and play my cards there and try to have a good one.
It's interesting, I just took the kids down to the pool down here in Bolton. I just bumped into Flora Duffy, and she was about to get in the pool, and I said, "Oh, I've got to get home. I'm having a chat with Javier," and we sort of had a brief. She's like, "Yeah, it was a real shame about his crash in Leeds," and I don't know what we kind of said, but it was kind of like, "Yeah, we need to see him back on top." And I said, "Well, actually, he still finished third in the World Series, in 2019. It's not like it's funny though if you're not winning." Like,
oh yeah,
winning. Everybody's like, "Well, where's Javier?"
Yeah.
It was funny the way we were both talking about. You were going, the expectation of the others around you is kind of like it's Javier Gomez. Arguably one of the greatest we've ever seen do the sport. And do you feel that? Do you let it go now? Or
well, I totally understand that. When people talk about the main favorites for the Olympics, I'm not even in the top 10 of them, which to be honest, I don't care at all. And I'm happy in this situation because I've been in the other situation for too long in my career, being the guy to beat with the Brownies and all that. So I'm not, and that's great. But yeah, I've been doing my thing, I've been training hard. And 2019, after 1 year of long distance, and I've been on the podium on a few World Series. I finished third in the World Series. And 2020, with this weird year we all had, I didn't race ITU. I was racing some French Grand Prix races, being competitive on sprint distance races. I was third in a Super League event, indoor, super fast, which doesn't suit me very well. So, and I know my times in the pool, my times on the track, and I'm still competitive, or at least the way I was, I know,
mate. You're preaching to the choir, mate. I'm a believer. It's I think it's just more. I think people are drawn to the new flavor and the new color that jumps out.
Yeah, but that's normal, I guess, and I totally understand it, and maybe when I was the young guy and people got excited I was going to win everything, and maybe they thought that you guys, they were a different generation, or Simon Whitfield was done, and then Simon Whitfield went to Beijing and still got a silver medal, So I probably can't be as consistent as I was 10 years ago. The body's different. But I think for a one-day race, I still can get to that level that I need to be competitive. The thing is, nowadays, as I said before, there are so many guys that in a good day can win the race. So that is very difficult to do it. But I'm happy to be where I am. I'm happy to be one of the guys who are going to be on the star line, and I'm really excited to give my best on the day.
It's extraordinary when you said, it's my third Olympics. When 2004, I felt like you should have been on the start line there. Definitely. And then you had 2016 where you were, broke your arm 6 weeks out. And so it's one of those, your career's been so long and only your third Olympics, but it's, I say that in jest, obviously, because it's still remarkable, but you really have been around for, basically 2 decades and not just around, it's this consistency of winning and being at the top. And you kind of said just then, I'm not as consistent, but I can still get up for a one-day race. I mean, you still, you're 38 now, I think, are you?
I'm 38, yeah.
Yeah, 38. So in my mind, you still
I know.
A couple of good, decent years. I think I won High V when I was almost 40. That was sort of my last really decent hurrah. But I think you've still got a nice little window here to make magic happen beyond what you've done, if your passion is still there. And do you feel like you're still as passionate as you were?
Oh yeah, the passion is still there. I remember when we were in Nusa probably 10 years ago or 9 years ago, I don't know. And you were telling me that you achieved your peak when you were in your late 30s. And I was like, really? This guy, what's he talking about? That's so old. It can't be, that's not possible. But now I understand you.
Yeah,
It's because I'm in my late 30s and I still want to think that I'm competitive, and I'm sure I am, because at least, well, my training is there and I know what I'm doing on training. So, but yeah, when you are in your early 30s or your late 20s, you don't think that you're going to be competitive, that far. But it's all about being passionate, which is not easy when you've done it for so long. On my 20s, I would go to the track and be so excited for a track session that I would, just be like, like before a race, and now it's a different feeling, it's more like a routine, even though, I do it professionally and I do the best I can, but you don't have that excitement anymore, and it's normal. But I still like it and enjoy the challenge of setting a goal and work hard for it, and focusing on the process. Throughout my whole career, I never set goals in terms of I want to win this race, I want to win this other race. I guess ultimately that was the goal, but for me it was the process of working day by day to to get the best version of me, and on that day and do everything perfectly. It was more like a technical stuff. I want to be swimming in these times, I want to be running on the track on these times, I want to do the bike like this and like that. So I was focusing on the process the whole time, and I think that's why I got such a long career, because you cannot work by anger, or I want to win this race, I'm going to destroy the field. That could work for one of two races, and it's a great fuel, to go to a certain race. But you can't do that for 20 years, you get tired of that. So you need to enjoy the process and the process within yourself, trying to get better every day, try to improve technically, tactically, physically, all the process, all the workouts you do, that has to be the focus, and that has always been my focus.
Geez, that was well said. I really think that was fantastic. That really just focusing on the process for the sake of longevity and consistency. And I've had a couple of guests on the show that have been, I've used anger and I've been angry, and anger, it's great fuel. And then I've had the other.
It is for certain races, but exactly. I don't think you can keep that anger for, for 200 races, because then you're kind of really, I don't know, it's good to have it. And I wish I had it a bit more sometimes, because sometimes I have to wake up a little bit more, and be more, I guess, more anger before the race, more angry, but yeah, for me, it worked better, like focusing on the process and be on the start line and think, okay, I did amazing work for this. I'm very fit. And that's what gives me confidence as well. I'm confident if I'm fit, and I'm not so confident if I know that I saw something went wrong in the preparation, or if I'm not that good,
No, it was like watching Alistair Brownlee in Leeds. You could see in his sort of the way he was there that he was just hoping for a miracle, and that's not fun. It's not a fun way to race if you haven't had the chance to prepare properly.
No, it is not, especially if you've been on the top, like Alistair, and you're not fit, or you're not that level, and you're racing at home, and probably your last ITU race. That's hard, but at the end of the day, it's one.
But he's had his turn. My goodness,
guy has done so much that
I mean, he's won so much. I wrote him straight after the race, actually, and said, "Mate, you're the greatest Olympian in our sport that we've ever seen, and I don't think you need to stress about adding another one when you're not actually going to probably be that fit." It's not the way to go out anyway. So anyway, mate, what do you think when we talk about athletes, over the past, you've been in the sport for 20 years at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Are there athletes that stand out to you? We don't need to call it the greatest of all time type thing, but we have talked about that already a fair bit just now, but are there athletes that stand out to you that have shaped the sport?
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen so many different generations, older than me, same age, younger. it's always hard to say who was the greatest of all time, and that's it's always an open discussion. But for me personally, the best athlete I've ever seen been very fit is Alistair Brownlee, no doubt about that. I've seen this guy doing things that no other could do. At a point he was probably top 5 swimmers, strongest cyclist, and the fastest runner. So yeah, for me that he's probably the best. So he was never that consistent. He struggled with lots of injuries, with different problems. So that's why he doesn't have more world titles probably. But yeah, some of his performances were completely outstanding. Then other guys like really talented and amazing one-day races like Simon Whitfield, who you know very well. I don't know. I guess before I started racing, the likes of Simon Lessing, Brad Bevan, etc. A lot of respect for these guys for what they did and their at their time. But yeah, and if we talk about long distance, no doubt Jan Frodeno is the best one ever, in my opinion.
It's not a bad little summary there, mate. And I don't think you're going to have many people argue against that. I mean, and the thing is, what I love about these conversations is with guys like yourself is when you've been on the back end of some of these outstanding performances, when you've been up against an Alistair Brownlee at the 2012 Olympic Games or Simon Whitfield on his day, or, in my case, many times from Brad Bevan and Simon Lessing in the 90s. When you've had them unleash what their potential is, it really does make you go, wow, doesn't it? Even as a competitor, you go, how am I going to beat that? It's
definitely, no doubt. And when Alistair, I think his breakthrough performance was around 2009, where, well, actually many, because he won 4 or 5 World Series in a row, and I was kind of dominating until that point, 2006, 7, 8, and won world titles and lots of World Cups. And then this young guy comes and he beats me in the first race, he beats me in the second, and I was impressed by what he was doing. But at the same time, it's like, well, what can I do to beat this guy, And so he actually made me a better athlete. Him and Johnny, they had to work really hard, find ways to improve, push the limits at the end of the day. And that's what I did. And if I'm really proud of my achievements and my 5 world titles, because they were against the Brownlees. I was racing in the same era as Alistair Brownlee and Jonathan Brownlee, and for me that makes it even harder, because they were just amazing. But so I think that rivalry was great for the sport, was great for me, in order to, maybe I would have won more races without them, but they pushed my limits and made me a better athlete, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd have to agree with you. I think the three of you lifted the sport beyond what I ever thought possible. What do you think about some of the guys that we're starting to see now, almost the post-coronavirus group that have sort of coming out? We've got obviously Vincent Lewis and Mario Mola, your teammate.
Yeah,
there's another crowd coming through, though, another young breed coming through. Is that blowing you away, what they're able to do?
Yeah, there are so many great athletes. It's great to see, actually. I think there are different groups. You have the athletes that I think they are at their peak, like Vincent Lewis, Mario Mola. They are around 30, 29 years old, experience, still very quick. They prove that they are, on the top. And then you have a younger generation of incredible athletes coming up, like Alex Yee, for example. Like Hayden Wild is an athlete that I really like. I think he's very, very talented, and he's been, in lockdown in New Zealand. He didn't have the chance to race through 2020, and he did his first race in Leeds, and he was very brave. He died a little bit in the last 5K on the run, but he showed so much potential, and he had shown before. So I think he has a great future ahead. And you see the Belgium guys, Jelle, Jeans, and Van Riel as well, doing amazing things. So, well, there's a big group, and definitely there's a lot of young athletes with a lot of potential.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Hayden Wild. I have always enjoyed watching him in the Super League, and He has that little bit of Kiwi
Yeah,
mongrel, that New Zealand mongrel,
yeah,
which they bite your Achilles and they don't let go.
yeah. He's so brave racing. He looks like he's been racing for 20 years,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's so good at transitions, and if he has to attack, he attacks, and he's an aggressive racer, and I guess for spectators, really fun to watch. Not so much for the other guys racing him.
Yeah, no.
That includes me.
I know. Yeah, stop it, you guys, stop.
Yeah,
It
not so
hurts.
fun. But he's doing very well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you mentioned Alex Yee there. I mean, it's hard not to be impressed about this young guy that's coming on board, and we talked about him earlier. But I mean, I looked him up, just some of his run splits. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the British 10K champion, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him running on the track. Actually, was live streaming in 2750 for 10K, which is incredible. And this must have been 2 years ago, probably. Yeah. But we've seen cases of amazing track runners doing triathlon with some good results, but never like this. I think he's not just a runner; he's a pure triathlete at the moment. His swim got so much better. He's in the middle of the group towards the front now. And he's really strong on the bike as well. So he's not the type of runner that if the bike goes slow, if everyone gets to get on the bike, then he can win the race. No, he can win any race because he got so much better on the bike and the swim. So he's a pure triathlete.
Yeah, I think when we look at the sport, I've had the Norwegians on the show, Christian Blumenfeld, Gustav Eden, and their coach Arild Svetten. And then there's this sort of the Joel Filio crowd, who coaches Vincent Lewis and Mario Mola and Jacob Birtwistle and a plethora of other. I know I'm missing a few names, so excuse me. And then we've got, yourself and Alistair and some of these more of the, I don't want to call you old school, but I guess you kind of are becoming that.
Yeah.
And it's like all these different groups up against each other come Tokyo, which is really, really exciting for all of us. I think it is so open. I think it's open. I think that's what makes it exciting. It really is an open opportunity.
Yeah. And it's the beauty of the sport as well, seeing different groups and with completely different approaches in terms of training. You have the Norwegians that they're famous for training a lot, crazy hours and a lot of volume and racing a lot. And then you have Joel Filio's group. They seem to be more, focused on quality and not so many hours. And you would think that they don't train that much, but it's working great for them. So, so in the end of the day, what's the right thing to do? You never know. The sport is constantly evolving, and and you can get to the same point, to the same place through many different ways, and that's incredible.
Who's coaching you now? Are you
I'm still with Carlos, which
okay.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah. I've been training with him since 2013, and we understand each other very well. We've done lots of great things. So won a few world titles with him. So I'm still with him.
And is Pablo Gonzalez, is he a training buddy of yours, or you guys?
Yeah, as a training buddy. He's from the same town, and I saw him, coming up. He was a swimmer, then he kind of retired, and he started triathlon very late. But he really likes to work hard. He's a great training partner. He never gives up. He never gets tired. He never gets injured, and he's might not be the fastest guy when it comes to running on the track, for example, but he's consistent, and he's now getting great results in middle distance. Yeah.
A quick mini break. I really want to encourage you to do something special for yourself and sign up for Athletic Greens and get a free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase by visiting athleticgreens.com/Greg. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Greg. If you want to see all your key metrics like your pace, distance, stroke rate, and heart rate while you're swimming, you need the Form Smart Swim goggles. Go to formswim.com/Greg. That's formswim.com/Greg and get $15 off. Or you can use code GREG15 at checkout. Take advantage of the great sale going on now at Hyperice. Plus, get 10% off all Hyperice products using the exclusive Greg Bennett Show discount code GREG21 at checkout. Go to hyperice.com and use code GREG21. Well, we're starting to talk about his name more and more, and that's always okay when's their breakthrough about to come, you know?
Yeah.
What about the races? Have you noticed the races change much over your career? Have they become more professional, or is it much the same? I mean, you came in sort of in the early noughties there.
Yeah, they got shorter for sure. I started in a sport that, even the juniors race Olympic distance, under 23 Olympic distance, elite Olympic distance, every race. And suddenly when you're in your 30s, they start to shorten the races. Like, hey, this is not fair. I've been training for longer races. So that is changing the dynamics a little bit. And the younger guys are obviously really quick for shorter distances. In terms of being more professional or not, I don't know. I think there's a lot of talent nowadays. There was a lot of talent some years ago. In terms of prize money, I don't see big changes I didn't see big changes in the last 20 years. So I don't know if they are getting more professional in that way, but for sure the level, there are more athletes, capable of doing great things. And the races are so tight, and you have a small mistake and cost you the race. Whereas some years ago there were more differences probably, and I could probably go to a race not being 100% fit and still win the race. Even a World Cup, which World Cups was like World Series back in the day. But now there's no way, no one can do that. The level is so high, and you need to be at your peak and really fit to win races. Yeah.
And looking at sort of the big changes over this last 20 years, the equipment, you're with On running shoes.
Yeah.
I believe they're coming out with a new, called the Cloud Boom Echo. I looked it up. Have you tried it? Is it comparable to what we're seeing with some of the other brands where these bouncy shoes?
They came up with another bouncy shoe, which is, if you want to be competitive nowadays, you need one of those. Whether if it's it should be illegal or not, I have my doubts, because it's an external assistance, in my opinion. I mean, obviously you go way faster with those shoes. Like
they're insane.
It's like having a small engine on the bike. Okay, if it's allowed, then we all use it. So that's what happens with the shoes. They are allowed, so you need to have them in order to be competitive. So this was a revolution, and I don't think it affects the same to all the athletes, depending on your running style, and some athletes gets more benefit than others, but that's the way it is nowadays, so you have to wear them.
I remember putting them on, 2-3 years ago, just running down the hallway.
Yeah, and you almost go back to racing, right?
Seriously, it really did. I mean, because the way, like you talked about, depending on your biomechanics and how you run.
Yeah,
my form was always a lot of energy straight into the ground. Like I hit the ground very hard, and so for me, the rebound was insane. I actually felt like I was like, "Whoa!" It was, and I've been watching guys like yourself in On and things, and I know the On shoes have been fantastic, but I've been still wanting them to come out with something that'll.
It's great to have them now, because at the beginning, to be honest, I thought, well, they are just shoes, they are not going to be such a big difference. And in 2019, I was racing with normal On racing flats, but no carbon plate or anything. And there were people racing with the first versions of of some carbon plate shoes, and when I think about it now, it's like, wow, me and others were in clear disadvantage, compared to these guys, because when you try them on and you say, oh, this is a big difference. So, it's good now. Pretty much all the brands have a good shoe. So the most important is that we all race in the same conditions.
How does the On Cloud Boom Echo feel? Have you tried it yet? Does it come out?
Yeah, I try them. I raced last year on them, and
you did? Huh.
Yeah, I did some 70.3 middle distance races, and also some French Grand Prix, and they feel great. They are really responsive, and we've seen great performances. I think in Daytona the best running time was on those shoes, and a couple of weeks ago in Lisbon the best running time in the World Cup, Max Studer, I think he was with on shoes. Nicholas Berg as well, winning the race with them. So that gives you a lot of confidence.
How good was it to see Nicola win? I'm sorry if I'm showing bias here, everybody, but I've known Nicola since the late 90s, if you can believe it. And to see her, 25 years later, pretty much still winning, I just thought it was fantastic.
She's such an incredible athlete, and gives a lot of hope to the older generation. She's 39 and still competing amazingly
39
well.
and a mother of 3.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
Rita Huga, husband, must be an incredible man in that realm as well.
Of course. She will need a lot of support.
Yeah. And what about bikes and things? Have you found there's much, if you compared the bike you're riding now to what you rode in 2005, are you getting much less because of it?
It looks like, after year, they don't seem to change much. When I look now, to those bikes in 2005, they were very different. They go so much better. And I've been with Specialized since 2010, so for over 10 years. And I'm really proud that I won world titles with so many different bikes from that. Road bikes, DT bikes, mountain bike, even. So I've been loving riding Specialized, and they are always on the top, I would say. But we've seen the big evolutions, with the shifting as well to electronic, to wireless. The bike's getting more and more like stiffer and stiffer and lighter. So it's really cool to ride a bike nowadays, because when if you get on one from 15 years ago, you really feel it.
I know.
You really feel the difference.
The big thing that changed probably since I stopped in 2016 was you all went to disc brakes. That was sort of the big
as well. Of course.
5 years.
I remember at the beginning, and lots of cyclists, they didn't like disc brakes. It takes time to get used to changes, but there's no doubt that you brake so much better, especially in wet conditions, or for some courses they are really important. You just need to get used to the touch, to the feel, because it's a bit different. But no doubt it was a step forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's shift gear a little bit and let's look more at some of your. I want to chat to you about some of your memories over the last 20 years of maybe some epic kind of. Is there any training days or training weeks that stand out to you where you go? I mean, is there? I mean, putting you on the spot here, obviously. Is there anything that jumps out to you that was an epic time or training day?
I've done, for me, epic training sessions, like where you feel really good when you do amazing times.
You got to do more than that. You got to give details, man.
I've never done, if you mean like 300k on the bike and then run off the bike or something like that. I've never done stuff like that because I never thought it was useful. What's the point if you're going to race Olympic distance? So I've never really done crazy stuff like that. I've done, for me, good times on the track, or I don't know, in the pool as well. When I was training a little bit more for swimming as a triathlete, I was already world champion, but I did a more specific swim blog. And when I did my best time for 400 meters, which is 3:56 short course, which is probably, that's the best time, the time that I'm more proud of, better than 1500 actually. And running, I remember doing a session that I did many times, like 9K progressive, starting 3:05 pace and once finishing in 2:40 the last K, and doing the last 5K in 40 minutes flat. So that was one of my best running sessions.
Well, my little memory of ours was when we did those long runs in the back of Noosa there, Merdering Creek Road and Monac Road, and you would come out and you'd join me and we'd do these long runs. Usually,
I think I did everything you did. I didn't care about my training program. I was so excited. Like for me, going to Australia and training with these guys that I watch on TV, yourself and, watching Brad Bev and Chris McCormack. And suddenly I was there training with you, I think that learning experience was way more important than what was written on my program. So you had a long run, I was going to do a long run with you. Or if you had 1K, I would do that. I didn't care. And when I think about it, it was the right thing to do, because I remember that a lot. And we had great times and great training there.
Well, you didn't just join me on them; you blew me away on them. In fairness, you're leaving that part out, and that's very kind of you. But I do remember when you said, and excuse me if listeners remember this from episode 4 when we did talk about it, but it really was a highlight for my athletic career where you said, today, Greg, I just want to do 25K rather than our usual 30, 32K, but I want to do 20K kind of as we normally do, and then 5K just kind of build it up a little bit. And I said, oh, okay, that sounds good to me. So off we went at, the first 20K. And we were always averaging around that 3:45K pace, around 6 miles, which is enough that we would call it best easy. So we're running, but it was comfortable, which still, now that I'm retired 5 years, that just blows my mind. But anyway, at the time, it was still comfortable. And then we said, all right, we'll do the last 5K. And I remember you just took off. And I went through the first K in 3:02 of that 5K on the back. We'd already done 20 kilometers. And you were 20 meters up the dirt road. And I was like, oh, my ego had kicked in by now. I'm like, damn it. I was trying to hunt you down and I just couldn't. You just kept running away from me for that whole 5K.
I remember that day very well. I loved it. But I think that weekend I raced in Mooloolaba. So I definitely shouldn't be doing like a 25K session. And I had a horrible race in Mooloolaba. Well, I finished 5th. There was a World Cup. I felt really bad. But I have to say that 2 weeks later, I did one of my best races ever in Sydney, the World Series.
Sydney.
Yeah. So it was around that time. But honestly, for me, the learning experience of training with you there was more valuable than a World Cup in Mooloolaba. So I wanted to do what you did, and I wanted to do the 1Ks you did. I remember also on that trail doing 1K reps, and it was a great learning experience.
Yeah, I remember your turn of speed on those 1K efforts was insane. Now, look, a lot of listeners have had some pretty crazy bonks, blow ups, whatever you want to call them, in races or in training. Do you have anything that stands out to you where you were groveling to get home or get to the
Well, a big one was in Kona, definitely. I was completely out of the race on K30 on the run, turning at the energy lab, and I was dead. The nutrition wasn't working. I couldn't. Anyway, it was a bad race. To be honest, I went to Kona probably not prepared enough for that race, but I wanted to be at the front of the race, and I knew I don't mind finishing 5th, 4th, or 25th. I'm gonna play. I need to know what it takes to win this race, so I'm gonna be at the front as much as I can. And I was at the front until K 140 on the bike. Then I died, and I missed a couple of aid stations because the pace was on. It was my mistake that I missed them, and I started the marathon completely dead. But even if you're dead, the first 10, 12K, the pace that you're supposed to run, that 3:45 that we were running, we ran in Noosa easily, so you kind of you can do that, but it gets to a point that you have no energy anymore, and the heat and the humidity. Anyway, so it was about K30. I was almost walking, and I said, okay, I'm done. I can't keep going. There's no point of keep hurting myself like this. But then I realized I was 10K away from town, and I had to get back somehow. So I just I'll try to jog walk until the finish line, because I had no other way to get back. And I was coming out of the energy lab. I remember someone saying, that actually made me laugh. Someone saying, "Come on, you have the best 10K of all these athletes." I said, "Yeah, but not now, man. Definitely not now." Oh, and I was
trying to help, but not.
Yeah, that was a horrible day, but it was a good learning experience as well, and I enjoyed it. I had other better performances in Ironman, even though I didn't do many of them. But I knew what it takes to be at the front of that race, and I'm sure if I prepare it again, I'll do things a bit differently. I know the race better now, and I'm also excited about trying to be good at that race in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited about that for you, and for me. I enjoy watching you race. And have you got a better handle on the nutrition, and in that I've had a lot of discussions with different sports scientists and doctors and coaches on this show, and obviously the sort of low fat, what should I say, low carb, good healthy fat diet seems to be what they're preaching. Is that something that you'll consider more?
Well, it's definitely something that I want to do more and get more into it when I finally decide to do long distance. At the moment, I'm not doing that, but I know there's something I have to change. Yeah, but for the long distances, I think it's so important, and that was my mistake in 2018. And also work out the nutrition during the race a bit better than what I did. And actually, I made some improvements, and that's why I decided to race an Ironman in Malaysia in 2019. I wanted to go to the same conditions, to the heat, humidity, and try to work things a bit better. Obviously it's a different race, different level. So
Malaysia is way more brutal than Kona.
Yeah, it's more brutal, but the rivals weren't the same. So that allows you to, to be in control of the rhythm a little bit more, of the pace of the race. You don't have the best athletes in the world pushing you and you trying to follow them. So, but definitely it's something that I'm excited about, working on those things that I never really worked on. I know I'm not very young, after so many years of my career, but that was my decision to keep doing short distance. There was a point in 2012 after London that I really thought what was next, what was going to be next, whether a long distance or keep doing Olympic. But my passion has always been Olympic distance, and that pure racing against the others. And for me, it's the Formula One of triathlon, and I loved it. And probably that would have been the best time to do long distance. I was my late 20s, to have a few years of improvement towards long distance. But I decided to do short, and I won a few more world titles, and I'm really happy with that. So I know I don't have much time now to do well in long distance, but I still believe I can have a couple of good years. I
think you've got 5 to 6 years. If you want it.
That's very, very generous.
No, I do. I'm just coming off my own personal side.
Yeah.
And this is all saying that your passion is still there to do the work. But I found right around that 43, 44, no matter how hard I trained, my 10K went from sort of a 30-minute to a 31:30. You know what I mean? It was like,
yes, yeah.
Wow, it just slipped. It slipped around that 43, 44. You would come blowing past me at high V or whatever, and I'd be like, damn it. And it was, and you kind of felt like I used to be a runner, and now I'm kind of slipping. And that was around that age for me. And that was still racing Olympic distance. And I think with the Ironman, I'm trying a new product now called Super Sapiens. They actually sponsor all the Ironman. I think they're sponsoring Ironman brand and Kona and everything. And I've got this patch and it's a blood glucose reader, and it's you monitor yourself. And I just, for me, because of the nutrition side, when I did my couple of Ironmans, was just atrocious. And I think I had, insulin spike.
Yeah, I'm also planning on having monitoring all
you
stuff.
are?
Yeah, definitely, because as I said, I don't have much time in long distance. So let's try to at least as right as you can get them, because there's always going to be rookie mistakes, even though I'm 38. But but at the same time, it keeps me motivated. When you start something new, no matter how old you are, it's new energy, new motivation. And I don't see myself doing more ITU, even though I love that type of racing. But I went through seasons for so many years, the same preparation, and go to a track and do the 400s and do the 1Ks and the transitions. And, I'm not really excited about all that. But about long distance, I am. Whether I'll be successful or not, we will see. But I'm excited to put, the hard work, which is the most important, I believe.
Yeah, I think changing your training up and even the training partners and the way you approach races and just different races. Because how many World Cup or World Series races have you done? Have you ever?
I think it must be over 120. I think because I check it only once in my life, because someone someone asked somewhere, I don't know where, who was the most successful athlete in ITU with more wins. And I'm not a super confident person, so my first thought was, I'm gonna check Alistair Brown, I'm gonna check Brad Bevan, I'm gonna check Mario Mola. He's won a few. And I was checking them, and then said, oh, how many have I won? Or how many have I done? And I checked myself, and actually I was the one who won the most with 45 wins. And I think total races, I think, was around 120. I don't remember that exactly. But
you got to be happy with that too, isn't it? I mean, that's a 1 in 3 strike rate. And when you're not probably winning, you're on the podium.
Yeah, it was 80,
right?
80 something podiums, I think.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I raced a lot in my career. I did lots of French Grand Prix. I did lots of lifetime series in the US, which I loved. Olympic distance, non-drafting. I'm sure you're going to agree with me. That's the best distance ever.
I think it's still the best format and best distance. Yeah.
I love those races. Unfortunately, we don't have many of those nowadays, but I love those races. And there's some 70.3s and many more others, not only ITU, but it's been lots of races.
That's why I said at the top of the show, I don't think any other athlete has won more races than you in the 20 years. Like I think there's a lot of people that won world championships and they've got remarkable resumes. But when we added up all your ITU, whatever you want to call it, World Series, World Cups wins, and we add up all your non-drafting wins, your French Grand Prix wins, your 70.3 wins, because you race a lot. I mean, on average, how many times have you been racing a year for 20 years? You've been racing probably 15, 20 times a year. Is that right?
Yeah, probably 15, 20 times in a normal year for sure. And I had a few injuries in my career, but luckily not too bad, and I never had a bad year for, let's say, I race every year with good success since 2004, I believe. So I've been lucky that way. I work hard for it as well, but I never had to stop for a year with a really bad injury, So those results are there.
That's the incredible story there. I really think that.
Yeah, that's what I'm. I'm very proud of that more than any single win or the Olympic medal or anything is a career. The whole process. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's shift gear a little bit. I want to talk about sports as a whole, moving away from triathlon a little bit. You're friends with Rafael Nadal, or acquaintances. I don't know how close you are, but I think, I've seen you guys go for bike rides and things.
Yeah.
If we talk about who do you think is the greatest athlete in the world, and even we can start with what sport and then maybe.
Well, that's again a very open discussion. It's really hard to compare, but but definitely not because he's a Spanish, not because I know him, but I think Rafa Nadal. I mean, it's just unbelievable what he's achieving in such a competitive sport as tennis, with so much talent out there, and he's still on the top. So, for me, it's incredible what he's doing. And for me, is the greatest. You can think of Michael Jordan, Roger Federer, of course, but Nadal, the way he's been dominating is just outstanding.
It's amazing, isn't it? I like the conversation, and this is just a conversation about what sport is the greatest athlete comes from. And often in America, I'll hear, basketballers, basketballers, and because I started,
but such a long career as Nadal, so there are not many with such a long career.
And when he's had to beat Federer, and that's what we were talking about. Djokovic, you throw him in there, and he's won all of his. He's had to beat Nadal and Federer every time he's played too. He's had no freebies.
But someone like Nadal winning, Grand Slam in 2005 and in 2021, it's just, and all the years in between, it's just blows my mind.
But I think we're talking about tennis, and if those that would have listened to when Chris McCormack and I were talking about it, I think we both came to the agreement that we thought tennis players were arguably the greatest athletes in the world. And what we mean by that is what it takes to be the greatest athlete in the world. And so there's the physical side, obviously, and the physical endurance. You play a 5-set match, the speed and athleticism and agility. But then also the mental side and the emotional side of having to recoup and start a point every kind of 20 to 30 seconds to a minute,
Yeah.
depending on, and having it's like when the gun goes off in a triathlon, we're in the zone and you go, right? And there's decisions to be made on the fly and stuff. But tennis is a bit like golf in the sense that every shot,
it's
point.
crazy. Every point is like a different.
Yes.
It's a new game, and you have to forget about everything else and start a new one. It's unbelievable. Yeah, for me, it's a very tough sport, very mental. You're against your rival there, and the mind plays such a big role.
And even it's one of the few sports that you can actually win the most amount of points and still lose the game.
Yeah, that's true. Correct.
So the way they do the scoring, and that always blows my mind, that the way they do the 15, 30, 40, that you could, every time you win a point, you could crush them and you could take them to deuce every time, but they beat you, and then they ended up beating you. But on paper, you win far more points than they do, and you still lose the overall game. It's extraordinary. Anyway, I think that's something we could debate all day.
Yeah, but it also comes to my mind Kelly Slater now that I think about it.
And Tom Brady. Do you ever watch the NFL?
Not really. Well, it's not really big in Spain.
No, but there's one quarterback, Tom Brady.
Well, I know him. Yeah,
it's pretty extraordinary what the longevity side of a contact sport like his is quite extraordinary. So there are a few athletes, and then obviously you have all the footballers, soccer players for Americans and Australians. Do any of those stand out to you? Are you a soccer football fan, or is that something that you have?
I'm not a huge fan, but I'm from Spain, so you have to be whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's a big sport here, and for me, no doubt, Leo Messi is the best football player. And I'm not a big supporter of Barcelona anyway, but the things he does on the field, it's just special. He has something that the others don't have. And he's incredible.
Yeah, I like all of that, mate. Well, now how are we going to keep your body going? Are you somebody that are you a routine type person? Do you have a night routine, morning routine? How are you?
Yeah, I like to have my routines, and now I need longer. If I have a hard session in the morning, I need to wake up, early enough to get the body going, and do little movements, my little warm up, little stretches, and for the last 8 to 8 years, I would say every time I wake up from bed, I can't barely walk, or I'm kind of limping, that's I feel my Achilles, my knee, my hip, but after a while, I'm fine, it just needs a little bit of time. But I remember, in my early 20s, I would, wake up and just go straight into a hard session without any problem. Now I need a bit longer, I need some mobility, some better warm-ups, and I can eventually get there, but it just takes longer, and you have to accept it and understand it. I don't know if I was a car, I've done so many kilometers, so the legs and the muscles complain a little bit sometimes, but as I said, I think I'm quite lucky that I never had too many, big injuries. So, but the body's still going.
That's great. It got to the point for me the last year or two where getting up in the morning, I'd have a hot Epsom salt bath and then do some light stretches, then do a 2 to 3K run walk around the lake, then come back and prepare for the first workout. And that's where I didn't enjoy that. It became too much.
It takes a lot of time, and it's something that you don't really enjoy. You just want to go out and train hard or do what you have to do for the day. But that extra time and, the stretching, more massage therapies, more sessions on the massage table, you have to look after what you eat a bit more as well. So those things are not so fun, but I understand that they are part of the process at a certain age.
It's true, isn't it? Let's start to look at wrapping up here, because you've given me so much of your time, and I know you got to get to bed and you got a race and stuff coming up. But I just want to finish with some questions, and let's do the first one. So, what's you've already given so much, but what's one tip for people on how to optimize their lives?
Well, I guess it's about balance, something that we don't have as professional athletes, because we are so focused on one thing, which is training and competing. We are in our small bubble, and we need to find balance, which is not easy for us. So for the rest of the people, I would suggest that they have to balance probably a job, a family, a sport, and just try to keep a healthy I don't know, just try to use the time properly, and think of what you're doing, and try to optimize your time and have a little bit for for the family especially. But yeah, a bit of balance, and enjoy the sport, and train what you can train or what you can't, and understand your situation. If you're not a professional athlete, don't try to be one, because there are more things in life, and just don't try to be don't be too intense with sport, I would say.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of that. I remember seeing a sign down at Boulder Ironman as Laura was doing the Ironman, and I rode past, and a woman had a sign, if you're still married, you didn't train hard enough. And it's kind of, it is the kind of the sport where I think we can get a little bit too consumed.
Yeah, and I understand, especially if you start in the sport a bit later in your life, then all that excitement that we had when we were 15, 20 years old, and you're going to have it later. I know when I retire, I will keep doing sport because I love it, but I probably won't have that need of racing, of competing and trying, I just want to do it for health reasons and for fun. But I understand other people, they want to compete, they want to improve, and sometimes they forgot about other things in life. So I think having a balance, it's a good thing.
It's a great answer, mate. I like it very much. All right, next one. If you could sit and have a coffee with any living person, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That's a hard one. As an athlete, I already had a coffee with Nadal, and which I really wanted to. So I have to choose someone else. I don't know. Probably someone, a big, I don't know, a politician, probably someone, president of the United States, probably the most important politician in the world. So whoever it is at the moment, whether it's Biden or, well, Donald Trump, maybe not so much.
You wouldn't want a coffee with Trump?
Not so much. Let's take that one, but Biden or Obama or even George Bush, it's probably very interesting what they can tell you, about the periods they've been president, and situation of the world. So I think that could be very interesting.
I like that answer. And you know what? You're not the first guest I've had that's picked an American president, a real certain Obama. So there you go. All right. Now, what I want to finish up with before we go, I want to do 12, just sort of, was it 12 or 15? I got a few really fun rapid fire questions. I've been doing this at the end, and it's a bit of fun. Some of them are serious, but some of them are just a bit of fun. So you ready?
Yeah. Let's go.
All right. What's your favorite family vacation?
I would say New Zealand. I love it. Yeah.
Well, you're married to Anna.
To a Kiwi, yeah.
We haven't talked about her yet, but
but I have to say that I loved New Zealand before I actually met her. So that was
just an added bonus.
Yeah.
All right. Olympic gold or Hawaii Ironman world title?
Olympic gold.
Okay. I thought that was going to be an easy one for you. What would you change about yourself if you could?
I would like to be more confident, probably, especially at this first stage of my career. I come from a place where no one really achieved anything, to be honest. Like you didn't, being world champion, stuff like that, that didn't happen to people of my hometown, of my area. That happened in Australia, in Sydney. You guys, as a triathletes in the 90s, but not where I'm from. So I was never too confident until, I actually started to get results. And then I saw, because it was a reality, that I could do it. But I was never too confident when I was a kid. I never dreamed big, really. I just wanted to, do sport, have fun, get better. But I didn't have big goals until I actually was good enough to get those good results.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, you and I are very similar like that, but isn't it amazing that somebody with what you've done and things would say still, you'd like to just be able to be one of those more confident people.
Yeah.
It's
I think
incredible.
I'm confident now, not overconfident, but I believe in my ability because I proved it many times, so I know I can do it. But at the beginning, as I said, if you're surrounded by champions, by people achieving great things, then why I can do that as well. But I come from a place where triathlon barely existed when I started, and it was probably my friend Ivan Rania, who is pretty much my neighbor. He lived 50k from my place, and he suddenly, went to the Olympics in Sydney, to the first Olympic Games, and he got a 5th place when he was only 21. And for me, it was like, oh, wow, well, if he can do it, but maybe I can as well. There was he opened the doors for many of us, and in Spain and especially in my region, there are lots of great athletes now. But back in the day, just things like that just didn't happen there. We didn't have swim champions or track and field champions or triathlon champions. So it was not.
Unreal.
That was unreal.
I love that. All right, out of 10, how cool would you say you are?
Oh.
Come on, you're playing a rock band.
Oh yeah, okay. With a guitar, I can be maybe an 8. But without a guitar, just a 4 or 5. And get much better with a guitar.
I like that. That's a great answer. Billy Carr, who you obviously know very well.
Yeah.
I think he said he was a 9, and I agreed. And then
he's very cool. Yeah, no doubt.
I said, anybody that wears black in the middle of the Kona,
long sleeves and yeah.
And we were trying to figure out, well, what would make you 10? We didn't talk about a guitar, but I think we decided a Harley Davidson or something between.
Yeah, you need something.
All right, outside of triathlon, if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Rock star probably. I mean, not just being a rock star, but that feeling of go on stage and play for thousands of people. That must be an amazing feeling. I love music and I watch lots of concerts. I follow lots of bands and I think it's probably feeling a bit like what we feel when we race, but that's a bit cooler.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. It's a great image too, to just be up on stage.
Yeah.
Thousands, and you've got to perform. I love that idea of the pressure even.
Yeah.
Okay, who would you want to play you in a movie of your life?
Alistair Brownlee.
I'm not sure if he's acting.
No, I'm just joking. It would be so hard to do for an actor. I don't know. I would be actually embarrassed to have someone playing. I don't know.
But there's this great movie coming out, the Javier Gomez-Noya story.
Yeah.
And they come to you and say, "Who's going to play it?" Go.
I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. Don't do that. I don't know.
It's all right. You can still pass. I
think I will pass that one.
That's all right. Okay. Here's a more serious one. Proudest moment of your life.
Proudest moment. I don't know. There are lots of in sport. There are lots of proud moments for sure, and the Olympic medal, win the grand final in London was a very special moment. But it has probably an award that I got called that you get from the King of Spain, which only top athletes in the world, like people like Michael Jordan, like Rafa Nadal, this kind of athletes got it. And I got it in 2016 which is, an award for my whole career. And it was a very special day. It's really big in Spain. And it was the first time that someone from a kind of small sport like triathlon got it ever. So that was a very proud moment.
What's the name of the award?
Princesa de Asturias. It's in Spanish. Yeah. No.
I'll have to check that out, put in the show notes. I like that. That's really cool. If you could had a time machine, would you travel to the future or back to the past?
I don't really want to know the future, so probably back to the past. Yeah, not sure where or like when, but probably to the past or yeah.
It's not an easy one, that one, is it? It's kind of
Yeah, because the future, there are things I would like to know, but others I don't.
Yeah.
So back to the past, probably to a long time ago, middle age or something. But
nice.
yeah, but just to watch for a bit, not to live there for very long. People didn't live there for long, so just to have a look.
Yeah. All right. Here's a really important one for a musician like yourself. Which decade of music is the best?
Oh, well, I really like 70s, but probably early 90s for me, where lots of great bands. They're probably still the biggest bands nowadays. Where at their peak, I'm talking about rock and roll bands was what I like the most. Whatever AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, all the grunge movement with Nirvana, Pearl Jam. I think they all were other peaks between 1990 and 1995.
I would have even said late 80s for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, some of them are the 80s, yeah.
I mean, AC/DC.
Yes, this has been there since the 70s, actually.
Metallica's definitely late 80s.
Yeah, but probably they were the peak at the early 90s, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and the punk rock music of the early 90s as well. So, yeah, I would choose 90s.
I agree. I think some of that music is some of my absolute favorite. I can't wait to see you perform on stage.
We have a little band, actually.
I've seen it on your Instagram. You've been playing with a group, right?
Yeah, we are really bad, but no, I was a guest of a better band. A couple of times I played with them on stage, and that was good. But we have, my physio was a former triathlete as well, and a couple of friends. When we have time, we just get together and we play, and it's a lot of fun. We don't have great ambitions; we just have fun, and it's a great way to think about something else and do something else. Yeah, it's awesome. It's
a nice balance to have.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more questions. Most recent show you watched on Netflix or whatever form?
I watched this documentary about Movistar cycling team, which is quite interesting. A few episodes, 5 episodes of last season, like from you get to know the team from the inside and what happens in the races and stuff. It's quite interesting. I watched another one called The Staircase, which was interesting too. But, yeah.
Very cool. All right, now this is the most important question of all. If you won $100 million in the lottery, how would you decide to spend it? Tax-free, by the way.
Well, as I think I don't need that much money, I would keep the half, and the other half I would probably donate it to the ITU, Ironman, and Challenge, so they can have the pros could have a bit of better prize money.
Wow, what a great answer! That's the best.
Well, because the prize money has been pretty much the same for so long, and the sport is getting bigger, more professional, and I would like the pros for my own interest as well, have better prize money on the races, because I think we have seen amazing performances in ITU and middle distance, long distance, and if you want the sport keep growing, we need more professionals. We need better prize money, I believe.
What a great answer, mate. I think you've just won every pro's heart.
Well, because you said, how much did you say? 100 million? Yeah, I don't need that much. If you said like 1 million, maybe, I'll skip it.
Yes, but I don't think my mind ever remotely crossed over that speed. So. All right, mate, let's just wind up. What's next for you then? Okay, you got the French Grand Prix coming up. Is that...
Mm-hmm. Is that in a couple of days, and then I'm gonna go to Mexico for another training camp in the heat before Tokyo. I'll do a few weeks of training there in Cozumel. I like the place, and I want to be as efficient as possible in the heat, but not only that, I like to be in a quiet place, and sometimes if I'm in Spain, it's not so quiet, and there are lots of not distractions, but also commitments with different things. So I want to go away a little bit and train, just focus on my training, resting, and get as fit as I can for Tokyo. And I'm excited to prepare that race. And I believe that I can have a good one. And as I said, at this stage of my career, if I have a good one, that would be awesome. If not, well, it's not a big deal, but that's not on my plan. My plan is to have a good one.
I believe in you, mate. I think you really can. I think I would not surprise me if you're on the medals. It would not surprise me if you actually got the gold. I actually believe you've got that within you. No, I'm serious. I think you've got it if you want it. And I think coming in with the mindset and with all the pressure off and everything else, you're free to have a free hit, as Vicky Holland put it in her episode. Has a medal, and now she has a free hit. And
it's a good position to be in, actually. So obviously that has its negatives. I would like to be 28, 29, but I'm not. But the situation that I'm in, I feel very comfortable and really excited about giving everything on training, and I don't feel that pressure that I had in London, for example. That in the end it worked well, and I did probably the best race that I was capable of. But now I feel more relaxed, and the training is actually going well. So I'm excited about it.
Perfect. And what about post games? Are you going to do the Collins Cup or Kona Ironman this year? What do you think?
Well, I don't know if I'll be selected for the Collins Cup.
Really?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I think I'm not in the automatic picks. I think, so I don't really know. Kona Ironman is an option if it happens. Let's hope it happens. But for sure, I guess the rest of my career is going to be focused in long distance. I don't know if it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 5 years. I don't know how long until I don't like this anymore. Until I don't enjoy it anymore. But the goals are going to be in long distance.
Well, I think for people that don't know, when I talk about the Collins Cup, it's the new professional race that the professional triathlete organization is putting on, the PTO. And basically you represent either Europe, the US, or the internationals, who's everybody else. The top 4 from each region, men and women, automatically qualify. And then there's team captains, and they choose the next 2. So I'd be very surprised if you're not chosen by the team captains. Who's the team captain? Norman Stadler and
I think so. Yeah, and I don't know who else. To be honest, this year I've been more focused on Olympic distance. But PTO is doing amazing. And they're doing great things for the pros. Even last year was such a challenging year, and we got to race in Daytona, a really good race. Even though I didn't like the course, it was not very good for me personally. But the event was amazing, and good prize money, and we treated us true professionals, and that's great to see in the sport.
Yeah, no, they're doing amazing things with that Challenge USA series. That's where I got to see you last, actually. Challenge Day, you and Annika for breakfast with our kids.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I got to meet your kids there. See Laura. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, Javier, this has been absolutely brilliant, mate, just to catch up and just discuss the sport and what you're doing and everything else. It's just such a pleasure, mate. So thanks for coming on the show again. No, thank you, Greg. Always a pleasure to chat to you. Yeah. Cheers, mate. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening and sharing the show. And it's just been such a wonderful conversation with Javier. You can find all the show notes and timestamps and the links and all the coupon codes at bennettendurance.com/media. All right. Javier, stay on the line, mate. Appreciate it. Cheers. Cheers.
Thanks a lot for listening. If you enjoyed the show, your support would truly be appreciated. You can visit the Patreon page, or you can subscribe with your podcast app of choice. Don't miss the next episode, so subscribe and be notified. For show notes, if you want to know more, please visit bennettendurance.com. I'm Phil Liggett, and on behalf of Greg Bennett, here's to the next time, and I hope you will join Greg again very soon.